In today's world, everyone seems to be chasing fame and attention. But Cillian Murphy became one of the biggest stars in the world by not chasing it at all. He is one of the Hollywood's biggest names, but also one of the quietest. No red carpets, no gossip, no mention in Los Angeles. He is someone who loves acting for what it really is.
You can't just casually call me a dick.
So how did this guy from Ireland become one of the most respected actors alive? Let's go back to where it all started. Back in the mid-90s, acting wasn't even on his mind. Cillian's first love was music.
People of our age and stuff are beginning to appreciate musicianship as opposed to catchy tune, you know?
He and his younger brother had a band called the Sons of Mr. Green Jeans. The name came from a song by Frank Zappa, an American rock musician known for his experimental sound and eccentric lyrics. They played in small pubs around Cork, a city in Southern Ireland. Cillian was the lead singer, guitarist, and songwriter. The band wasn't bad at all. They were actually good, and even got offered a 5-album record deal. But Cillian turned it down. The contract didn't feel right, and his brother was still in school. At that time, he was studying law at University College Cork, but he wasn't enjoying it. Something else was waiting for him. Then came the night that changed everything. He went to see a local stage play called A Clockwork Orange. It was based on the novel by Anthony Burgess, the same story that inspired Stanley Kubrick's famous film. The performance was raw and powerful, and it completely blew his mind. That night something clicked. Law school stopped making sense. The guitar went into the corner, and acting became his new obsession. His first big break came from a small local play called Disco Pigs. It was about two childhood friends rebelling against the world. Cillian played Pig, a wild and emotional character who was full of energy. The play was supposed to run for just 3 weeks, but it became such a hit that it toured around the world for 2 years. That was his real acting school. He never took any formal training. He learned by doing night after night on stage. Around that time, he met Yvonne McGuinness, a visual artist from Kilkenny, a small artistic town in Southeast Ireland. She was working on a project related to the play. They met backstage, got along well, and soon became a couple. Then came the film that changed everything. 28 Days Later. It was directed by Danny Boyle, the man behind Trainspotting and Slumdog Millionaire. This movie redefined modern horror. Cillian played Jim, a man who wakes up in a hospital to find London completely empty. Those empty streets and his tired searching eyes became iconic. Almost overnight, the quiet musician from Cork became a global name. Hollywood started calling. But Cillian didn't rush off to LA like most people would. He stayed in Ireland. He once said, "If you behave like a celebrity, people will treat you like one. If you don't, they will not bother." That line perfectly explains how he lives his life. He built a simple, happy life in Dublin with his wife, Yvonne, and their 2 sons. After spending years in London, they moved back because he wanted his kids to grow up Irish. They live in a quiet seaside area called Monkstown. Cillian once said, "My life is very simple. I read books, watch movies, and listen to music." While the rest of Hollywood was chasing fame, he just kept living quietly and focused on his work. If you only know him from Peaky Blinders or Oppenheimer, you might think he only plays serious or intense roles, but he has done a lot more than that. He played a cold-blooded assassin in Red Eye, a transgender woman searching for love in Breakfast on Pluto, and a freedom fighter in The Wind That Shakes the Ballet, which went on to win the top prizes at Cannes. He has also been in Sunshine, Dunkirk, and A Quiet Place Part 2. And recently he even produced Small Things Like These, a story about guilt and redemption set in small-town Ireland. Danny Boyle once said, "He doesn't need dialogue, he can say everything with his eyes." And that's true. Cillian doesn't just act, he becomes the character. Then came the director who understood him best, Christopher Nolan. Cillian first auditioned for the role of Batman, but Nolan saw something else in him, something deeper. So instead he cast him as the villain, the Scarecrow. That's how one of the best actor-director partnerships began. In Inception, Cillian wasn't the lead, but his performance gave the movie its emotional weight. And then came Peaky Blinders. When the show's creator Steven Knight wasn't sure if Cillian could pull off a gangster role, Cillian simply texted him, "Remember, I am an actor." And the rest is history. Thomas Shelby became one of the most iconic TV characters ever. After that, he continued to work with Nolan on Dunkirk, where he barely said a word, yet his eyes told the entire story. Cillian is known for being very focused on set. He is polite and completely dedicated to his work. For one of his early films, Girl with a Pearl Earring, he even learned to chop meat in a slaughterhouse, just to understand his character's life. And that's impressive, considering he had been vegetarian for 15 years. That's the kind of commitment he brings to every role.
As he goes and he chops up meat, but he would do that, with a passion and a belief, which is as valid as, somebody who paints.
So when Oppenheimer came along, it felt like his entire career had led to that moment. Christopher Nolan wrote the script with Cillian in mind. To look like Oppenheimer, he lost almost 30 pounds, eating very little each day to get that hollow, haunted look. Emily Blunt said he would often skip dinners and night out because he was completely immersed in the character. She said it wasn't arrogance, it was total absorption. Cillian once said, "I don't think of acting as fame or success. It's a process, a craft." The result was stunning. Critics called it a masterclass, and Nolan called it the performance of a lifetime. When Cillian finally stood on that Oscar stage, he had reached the one thing he never tried to chase. Even then, he stayed humble. He thanked his wife and sons, and he said,
"And I'm a very proud Irishman standing here tonight, so..."
After all the success and attention, Cillian Murphy hasn't changed. He is still quite grounded and focused on his work. He never tried to be a celebrity, he just tried to be good at what he does. And in the end, the spotlight he avoided all his life found him anyway. So what's your favorite Cillian Murphy performance? And if you haven't already checked out his new movie Steve, it's another example of how he keeps choosing roles that are thoughtful, real, and deeply human. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about artists who follow their own path. Thanks for watching.